In late 2007, the Iraq conflict is coming to a close. President Bush has announced success and reconstruction efforts are underway. Sergeant Matthews and his partner, Sergeant Isaac, are dispatched to a pipeline project in the heart of the Iraqi desert. All the Americans employed at the site have been killed, so now it is their task to locate the perpetrator before they send new workers. The troops conceal themselves behind a cluster of bushes and rocks to observe the area under the setting sun, and 20 hours go by without any events occurring. Matthews starts to feel restless and begins to believe there are no Iraqi soldiers remaining, and given the scattered bodies, the location must have been hit by a group that departed after finishing their task. Isaac notes there are no indications of a large group moving around here, and mentions that since all the workers were killed by headshots, this might have been carried out by the famous professional Iraqi sniper known as Juba. However, Matthews believes it is unfeasible for anyone to take this many lives in under 30 seconds. Eventually, Matthews grows weary of waiting and heads down to examine the site more closely after requesting Isaac to cover for him. Isaac shares that his scope is becoming vague, and Matthews jokes with him for not adjusting it earlier, but this one matters to Isaac because it previously belonged to a deceased comrade. Then Matthews moves from person to person, searching for hints, and starts to trust Isaac's theory when he verifies that everyone passed away from exact headshots. He walks to the center of the area to determine the likely direction of the shots while Isaac pleads with him to pull back, but suddenly a shot rings out and Matthews collapses to the ground, experiencing intense pain in his abdomen. Determined to assist his friend, Isaac dashes down in a zigzag manner to any incoming bullets, but just as he is about to reach Matthews, he gets hit in the leg. Isaac has no option but to abandon Matthews and dash to conceal himself behind a damaged wall. In pain but still breathing, Matthews reaches out to Isaac and instructs them to contact the base and request assistance. First, Isaac sees that his leg injury is really bad, so he goes ahead and ties a belt around it to halt the bleeding. He then takes his radio bag and attempts to reach the base, only to find out he has no signal since the sniper had hit the antenna. Out of the blue, Matthews reaches out to him once more and requests that he identify the sniper so he can take aim, disregarding Isaac's caution that the sniper will see any movement and fire at him again. Isaac begins working on creating a hole in the wall with his knife to fit the scope, only to injure his hand from some falling rocks. Matthews then tries to grab his rifle, but he faints due to blood loss. Not wishing to meet the same fate as his friend, Isaac employs a knife to extract the bullet from his leg, which is a very agonizing procedure. Then he wraps the injury before losing consciousness too. After a while, Isaac awakens when he hears an unusual sound coming from his earpiece. An officer from the base appears, and Isaac quickly starts to report the situation and plead for medical supplies. However, he starts to feel doubtful when the officer asks him many strange questions, and most importantly, he asks him to either reveal his exact location or stand up and shoot in the air, saying it is for the helicopters to deliver the supplies correctly. Isaac notes this is against protocol and will put him at risk, and when he starts focusing more on the man's words, he understands his accent is not American. This is Juba the sharpshooter who has accessed the radio signals to attempt to create a trap. Isaac does not buy it and confronts him, but instead of ending the call, Juba starts asking him questions, saying he wants to understand Isaac better. Isaac attempts the radio once more, but it remains non-functional. Juba keeps asking his foolish questions, and when Isaac declines to respond, Juba threatens to shoot Matthews once more, which is dangerous because there is a possibility he is still alive. Isaac consents to talk for a bit and tells Juba to start while he begins sketching a map of the area on the ground to determine the bullet path and identify the potential spot of the sniper. Juba informs him he is merely an ordinary Iraqi citizen who wishes to help his country and requests Isaac to share details about his family, but Isaac notes that is too private. Then Isaac mocks Juba's logic, stating that he is harming the individuals who are genuinely working to improve the country by introducing schools, pipelines, and infrastructures that will enhance the local economy. This causes Juba to chuckle, and he clarifies that the funds earned will be sent back to the USA afterward. As time goes on, Juba keeps posing questions, but Isaac still declines to share anything personal about himself, prompting Juba to threaten to shoot Matthews once more. However, Isaac no longer trusts him. To demonstrate he is a threat, Juba informs Isaac of the name of the former owner of the scope and that he is deceased, referencing Matthews' earlier mockery. This indicates Juba has been hearing their discussions since they got here. Through his scope, Isaac sees that one of the deceased men has a radio with him, and he pulls his body to the edge of the wall, but even with a stick, he wouldn't be able to grab it without putting himself at risk. Next, Isaac attempts to drink some water from his bottle, only to discover it empty due to a hole in it, which Juba verifies he made intentionally. He also acknowledges he did not miss any shots. He intentionally aimed at the bottle, the antenna, and Isaac's leg to place Isaac in a hopeless situation and ensure he dies slowly, which he will take pleasure in hearing through the communicator. When Isaac discovers the bullet he removed from his leg, he examines it more closely and starts figuring out the weapon model Juba has by asking some clever questions. He also labels Juba a terrorist, which causes Juba to laugh once more as he highlights that the Americans are the ones unlawfully entering a foreign nation with arms prepared to harm people. As Juba speaks, Isaac continues his calculations and peers through his scope to ultimately determine that Juba is concealed beneath a large heap of garbage. He has been in these tough conditions for quite some time, not to mention the intense heat, which means this guy really is a pro. Yet Juba refutes being the renowned sniper and once more asserts that he is an ordinary Iraqi individual. Based on his accent, Isaac thinks Juba could be a former U.S. Army officer who turned against them, but Juba brushes this off and clarifies that he only eliminates those who strike at him first. In exchange, Isaac tells the tale of how he met his closest friend during his childhood and how they joined together later as grown-ups. Before long, dehydration and fatigue start to take a toll on Isaac, who collapses to the ground as he hears Juba say he will staple his tongue to his chest. Next, Isaac attempts to deceive Juba by placing a jacket and helmet on his rifle and waving it over the wall, but Juba does not get fooled. What happens is the helmet falls, landing on the other side of the wall, so now Isaac cannot shield his head either. This kind of foolish error is the trigger and causes him to weep. As time goes by, Isaac grows anxious enough to attempt a gamble. He dashes towards a figure on the ground and grabs his bag and radio before sprinting back to the wall while evading all the bullets Juba quickly fires at him. In the bag, Isaac discovers water and some candy that he quickly consumes, but sadly this radio isn't functioning either. Juba also penalizes him for this risk by firing at the wall and significantly harming his scoper. Out of the blue, Isaac picks up some noise from his earpiece and understands it is Matthews, who is still breathing. Isaac shouts the position of the sniper to him, and Matthews quickly pulls out a piece of metal to examine the heap of trash. As Matthews moves very slowly to pick up his rifle, Isaac keeps the sniper engaged by chatting, and he discovers that Juba was once a teacher in Baghdad. When his pupils were killed during an American strike, he chose to seek vengeance. The wall Isaac is concealed behind is the remains of that school. Then Juba inquires of Isaac while he continues holding the broken scope, but since Isaac declines to respond, Juba warns that he will shoot Matthews again. Desperate to rescue him, Isaac admits that he keeps the scope in remembrance of his late friend, who passed away due to a mistake Isaac committed, and he still feels remorseful. Meanwhile, Matthews sets his rifle and aims at the heap of garbage, firing all the rounds he has while Isaac also shoots to make it seem like the sound is coming from him. As Matthews is getting ready to reload his gun, Juba unexpectedly fires at him, striking him directly on the shoulder. Isaac tells Matthews to move toward him to seek safety behind the wall, but sadly when Isaac approaches the edge to assist, Juba shoots Matthews in the head. Isaac must witness him die and ultimately breaks down, expressing his desire to return home. Juba tells Isaac that if he truly wants to go, then he won't shoot him, but Isaac is doubtful. Later, Juba questions Isaac about why he remains there, even though the war has already concluded. Isaac hesitates briefly before answering that he is present because it was indeed he who took the life of his former friend. It appears he unintentionally shot his former sniper partner while attempting to eliminate an enemy, and Isaac has been deceiving everyone, claiming his friend was killed by the villains. All of a sudden, Isaac hears a sound coming from the radio and hurries to adjust the signal, feeling pleased to hear discussions taking place. However, his joy is brief because while he can hear voices, he cannot send any messages due to the damage the radio sustained. To Isaac's surprise, Juba enters the discussion he is listening to, and the man mentions Isaac's name to assist. Isaac finally understands that all this time Juba has been infiltrating American communications, pretending to be a soldier in need of assistance to attract backup teams to the location and eliminate them all effortlessly due to the element of surprise. Isaac attempts to break into the discussion but fails. After a while, Isaac awakens to the sharp sensation of a crow tapping on his leg injury. Noticing that even the birds believe he is already gone, Isaac chooses to take a chance and gets Matthew's rifle with some rope and a stick. Then he points it at the heap of garbage. At that time, helicopters come to the area and expose Isaac's position without realizing this is a setup. Hoping to rescue the arriving soldiers, Isaac shoves the wall to cause it to collapse, generating a cloud of dust that obscures Juba's ability to find Isaac's position. Isaac starts firing at the heap of garbage without knowing if he has struck his aim or not. To discover the truth, Isaac finally rises from his spot, and he is surprised to see Juba is not taking this opportunity to retaliate. This leads Isaac to think he has successfully eliminated Juba. Shortly, the helicopters come and swiftly transport Isaac on a stretcher, promptly providing him with medical care. Isaac attempts to inform them about Juba, but he cannot be heard due to the sound from the helicopters departing. Out of nowhere, Juba begins firing at them, taking down the medical soldiers one after another before striking the pilot too. The helicopter swiftly descends and crashes onto the ground, immediately taking Isaac's life and enabling Juba to fulfill his promise. In a technical sense, Isaac had not been hit by a bullet. Then Juba breaks into the USA communications once more and acts as an American soldier to attract his next group of targets.